We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk.
All right, welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. This is going to be our Luft recap, right?
Yep.
Coming to a close, and we're going to be flying out tomorrow. But, before we get too far in, I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And let's get rolling. So we got a ton of thank yous. We're going to get them out of the way because we really appreciate all these people. And if I forget your name, don't throw us over the coals. It wasn't because we don't remember you. It was just when I jotted all these names down. I know there's thousands of people that we, that are out there that are listeners that maybe that weren't here, but we did meet lots and lots of people at Luft and all these other places, at after parties, at Sauce and at pre-parties, and came up to us and talked to us. And we're so thankful for all of our listeners and people that follow us, loyalty and all that great stuff out there. So let me just go down the list and, obviously bear with us. But this is very important that we pay respect to all these folks. So thank you so much, Patrick from Luft Cult. Thank you, Howie, Jeff, Josh, and Kate for getting us those media passes. I know that you guys were running, like crazy. The event was totally amazing and unreal. And, you only had so many media passes to give out. And we feel so honored that we were included on that list. And we were very, very thankful. Some serious star power in the media room. And we were thankful and honored to have been part of that. And we're definitely going to pay tribute to that on this episode and talk about the great things that you guys did in honor of that. Also want to thank John Benton, Ian Benton for coming on the show. Thank you guys. Kevin Lynch, thank you so much for letting us have a podcast at your house, and you're such a great guy, and we're looking forward to having you on the show as well.
For sure.
Drew from 911, Darren Pfister from FD Motorsports, thank you so much, you two, for coming back on the show. Vinny Russo, thank you so much for everything that you did for us while we were out here and coordinating things for us, and just being a good friend and helping us out and, hanging out and going to dinner with us. Chris Mora from Singer, thank you for taking the time out of your day and taking us on a tour and showing us everything Singer has to do and offer and show us. And we're looking forward to working with you possibly in the future, maybe getting you on the show and, what have you. And, maybe get Rob on the show, and maybe the both of you guys can be on the show. Who knows? We'll work that out. Ryan from iBox Springs, thank you for taking the time, and coming on the show and basically taking half your morning to walk us around the factory and showing us all the awesome things that your guys are doing there. The Ryans for the invite to Newcomb's Ranch and being so welcoming, and we didn't know them from Adam. By the time we left there, it was like we were good friends. We're also looking forward to working with you guys in the future, so more to follow with that. Really looking forward to that. We'd like to thank Tori. Also, it was great to meet you. VW Life on Instagram handle. Prior Orlando guy, now in Pittsburgh, but a great guy, and thank you so much. Ben the Professor, it was thank you for the invite for the Professor run, even though we couldn't make it, and just being an all-around cool guy. And we love your ethos, and we would love to have you on the show someday, Ben. And we talked about that, and we will do that. We're going to be back in California, so we're going to have you on the show too. JP and Mikey from Dirt Fascination, thank you guys so much too for what you guys do, and in support of us, and in support of what you guys do as well. Check those guys out. And then our whole Tampa crew, right? The people that hung out with us, Mel, DC, Joe, Gabe, Jeff, just supporting what we do, because it's not easy. They're out here to have fun too, but they're part of us and help supporting us and letting us do our thing while we're out here, and just being good friends. Those are our group friends and our core friends back in Tampa. And we came out here pretty strong with a big crew of guys. And
in force,
they had our backs. Anytime we needed to do something or have to do something, they were very patient and accommodating. So thank you guys so much. Sarah from LA Dismantler, thank you too for everything that you do and try to coordinate things and help us out and give us tips and help us meet people and put us in the right room with the right people and things like that. Thank you to you as well. Some of the listeners, that kind of stood out, in our minds that we ended up running into, ran into Jeff again from San Francisco. It was great to see you again, Jeff. It was awesome. This time we were on the West Coast and you were on the East Coast last time when you were visiting. So it was great to see you. It was great to meet your wife as well. Scott Kelly.
Yep.
Awesome guy. Super cool dude. Love you guys. You know, you guys are awesome, dude. And you know, met him at the Peterson, and then met him the following day at the Luft after party at the Motoring Club. Just a great guy all around, and you know, he really bleeds Porsche. And it's great to, you know, meet a listener that's so like strong and passionate about Porsche, kind of like we are. Yeah. So I mean, he's definitely our people. Dwayne from Vegas, it was great to meet you as well. Yep. Great guy, super passionate guy, super enthusiast, like bleeds Porsche as well. Beautiful mid-year car, white with the black Fuchs. Oh, yeah. Sick car, right? Met him at Newcomb's for the first time. It was great to meet him. And then Porsche. Yeah. I didn't catch his first name, but we met him at the Peterson. Didn't see him at Luft, but a big, huge, avid fan here out in the West Coast. Thankful to meet him as well. Andy from Australia came all the way in from Australia with his crew of guys. It was great to meet him, hang out with him for a few minutes, you know, talk Porsche, talk about the show, you know, talk about his own, you know, Porsche scene back in Australia and stuff like that. DPK Jared, one of Drew's buddies, but we finally got to meet in person. What a great guy. Super cool dude. And then, you know, all these other people that we ended up meeting. Mike from the Motoring Club, he hosted an after party. Thank you, Mike, as well. It was great to meet you, and thanks for being a great host. You know, that great party that you put on. Looking forward to working with you as well in the future. You know, we'll have him on the podcast. Eric Skirmatz from Porsche, actually, that we met at the after party. Looking forward to working with him as well, because we already have that Porsche approval, so it's nice to have that, so we can have Porsche people on the show. Yeah. So he's a big deal in Porsche. They're starting that 911 air-cooled series.
He had a lot of insight in that too.
Yeah, so we're going to have him on the show to talk about that. I don't want to spoil that, but thank you, Eric, for taking the time. Great conversations that we had with him. Great to meet Busy Moto.
Busy was cool.
So, you know, he wants to be on the show, and we want him on the show as well. It's mutual, and we love the stuff he does. He's a great guy. And I met him at the Peterson, so we're going to have him on the show. Great to see Ray Schaefer again, you know, one of our East Coast boys. He was out here representing, and we got to have some good conversation with Ray. We're going to have Ray on the show in October. That's a lock. We just got to put the day in. So it was great to see all those people, and, you know, all the people that I may have forgot. I apologize. We didn't forget you. I just want to say a blanket thank you, and great to see you, great to meet you. And we're overwhelmed by the people that enjoy and love everything that we're doing. We're really, really, really humbled by that. And thank you guys so much. That the listeners that are out there, because it's gaining a lot of traction, and we really appreciate that. And please spread the word. You know, like, I'm sure if you're a nut about it, there's plenty of people that would enjoy the show and be a nut about it as well. You know, and to throw the disclaimer out there, you know, but yeah, please share the episode with people. You know, tell them it's on iTunes, tell them it's on YouTube. Spread the word. You know, because there's thousands of Porsche people out there that probably are missing out. You know, that we got to meet. Even they didn't know we had a podcast. We met them through all those names that we maybe mentioned or didn't mention, that, you know, talked about our podcast to them, and, you know, their eyes perked up and they were excited to hear that there was something that existed. So, you know, if you go to a PCA event or even a Cars and Coffee event, and you have a Porsche friend, please spread the word, you know, because it is growing, and we don't want to leave anybody out. You know, we want people to all encompassing to be able to listen to this at all levels. And I really think they will enjoy it, because there's thousands of people that are proof that are enjoying it. Yeah. So, you know, get a part of it now, you know, be part of the family, like, seriously, like, spread the love, you know, and it's becoming a thing, right? Surprisingly.
It's moving quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we met so many people. That's why, I mean, we really wish we were talking about it. What do you remember? We cannot remember. We met so many people.
It really, like, so many pictures with so many different people and hanging out with so many different people. And we're not trying to say that because, we think we're somebody, but we're saying that in shock, right? That's more of like a shock thing. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that this happened, and that people care, and there's people listening, and there's, you know, the data points are showing that there's, like, we're in so many countries and so many people are listening, and we're eternally grateful. We really are. And, like I said, just spread the word, you know, like, we really appreciate it. You know, if you love what we're doing, Tell people. If you don't love what we're doing, tell people. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and I think what's surprising to me about that too is just demographic-wise, it covers all age spectrums.
mm-hmm.
I mean, we were next to Ryan Hogner's car,
Yeah.
and talking to him, and we were looking at another car, and then an older gentleman just came up to us like, "Oh, I love what you do. I love your guys' show." And
Yeah, and then we met a 16-year-old
Yeah.
kid that was listening
Exactly.
as well, and like, I mean, if you're Porsche, it doesn't matter. Like that just proves to you it doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are, what race you are. If you love Porsche, we all speak the same language, right? Like we're all speaking Porsche language,
Yep.
and I think we all get that, and that's what we're trying to convey to you guys. Like this is what this show is about: it's Porsche, right? So we're eternally thankful for all that, for those people. A lot of those people, when I first think they're going to be guests on the show, that while we were out here, so look forward to all that. That's going to be coming out. So that'll be exciting. As well, we had we vlogged while we were out here, so that'll be on YouTube. That will be on not this Monday, but the following Monday. Aaron's going to post that on YouTube, so go check that out. Definitely go look at all that stuff. Additionally, a shameless plug, because we have a huge artist, Andrew Mitro, that while we were out here, essentially, or on our way out here when we were flying out, released our first run on our vintage series. Mm-hmm. So go to pcartalk.com to go check those out. There's a limited run on those posters. It's 917, and then a limited run on those shirts too. And then we'll have some stickers and stuff coming down the line. I hate the word sticker. I guess decal is more like it. Sticker sounds so juvenile, but so that'll be coming out. Please help support him. He's a huge artist, and we believe in what he's doing, and he's working with us, and that's why we basically we chose him. It wasn't like it was we loved everything he's doing. He's so professional, and he's working for major German manufacturers, not Porsche at the moment, but he's working on that, like actually able to license to use the word Porsche and things like that. So that's in the works. So he designed our first poster, and to give you some background on it, it's a 917. And those that are listening, I don't know why you wouldn't know that, but I'll just give you a quick refresher. It's the 50 years of the 917.
Yep.
So the first poster we went out, we're going to go with a livery series. So it's a pink pig. It's got the car number 9. We know that's not the car number. It's on that car.
Yep, we know.
But we did it for a reason, right? In sequence, because we're going to do 2 more car releases, and it's going to be 17. I guess you guys could connect the dots, right? 917. So it's going to be 3 different posters in this series, and you'll be able to hang that up as wall art, and each car will have that number on it. So it'll say 917, obviously, and it's kind of like an Easter egg kind of cool thing. If you put it on your wall and you collect all 3, there'll be shirts that come out with all 3 as well. So that's more to come down the line. So we just thought we'd pay tribute to that car, and we had the opportunity, and fortunately for us, we had an artist that was willing to work with what we're doing. They're excited about what we're doing. We're excited about what they're doing. So we're trying to help each other out in the community, and he's very well known. Like, I'm surprised that he wants to work with us, because we're so small, but we're very fortunate to have him. He's world renowned, and he's an up and comer, and we're really fortunate to have him on. So, enough plugging with that. Again, go to pcartalk.com. It's under vintage.
Yep.
Right? And you'll be able to see all the stuff that's there. There's going to be more stuff that's going to get loaded on there in the coming weeks. But definitely get on there. Like I said, it's limited run stuff, because we're not like a full-on apparel and
Nope.
all that stuff. All this stuff is limited run for a reason, because we're not trying to be, we're a podcast first, but we want to provide some cool stuff, because a lot of listeners have asked us if we, not that specifically, but can you guys do something cool, or can you guys have a shirt, or can you guys have, some swag or any of that kind of stuff. So you guys asked for it, so we're doing it. We have thousands and thousands of people ask us, so we're doing that. And then one more plug on there, like we have a newsletter on the website, just like every other website. It's not in a position where we're going to spam you. We're not going to steal your information. I just want to throw that disclaimer out there now. The whole purpose of the newsletter is for you to put your email in there when you first click on the site, and then you'll know everything that's coming up new. Like if we do something new, like a new run of the posters, you'll be the first to know. So that way you can get one before they sell out, or shirts before they sell out if we do a limited run on that. And even like events that Aaron and I are going to be at, if you happen to be in that area or even traveling in that city and you want to, link up with us or talk to us or hang out with us, or, or even an event that's coming up that you didn't even know it existed, and you just want to attend and not talk to us or tell us how terrible we're doing or whatever you want to do.
Whatever.
You know, I mean, or just talk Porsche or whatever. So that's what the purpose of the newsletter is. It's really, you know, is what it is. It's a newsletter. You're the first to know. So I want to plug that because I know we kind of posted on Instagram, and not everybody's on Instagram. So I know from the demographics of the people that are listening to this, there's a lot of people who listen to this. So please get on the newsletter. Please, you know, be the first to know, because I would love for you guys that are avid listeners to get our products first. Not saying that I don't care who gets our stuff, but I would love our real fans to get it first, as opposed to somebody who's searching 917 posters and on the internet who doesn't even listen to the podcast and gets funneled to our website and ends up buying his poster, and then you don't get one.
Yeah. True.
So that's the whole purpose behind that. Or gets a shirt and then you don't get one. So it only makes sense for you guys to know. And like, again, we're not going to jam it down your throat. Like, if you don't buy something, I don't care, but I just want you to know that it's available. So you can get on there. It's not like we're going to pressure you and like we're going to spam you to death and any of that stuff. It's not going to be any of that. We're not going to sell your information so people can data mine you. We don't do any of that shit. So it's not going to be like that. So we don't need to worry about that crap. You're loyal to us. We're loyal to you. Your stuff's all, you know, going to stay private. It's going to stay in-house. Trust me, it's not leaving. So enough of that. You know, I just want to say that. And let's move forward. Let's talk about Luft a little bit.
Sure.
So what'd you think about it?
I thought it was unbelievable. I didn't realize this scale, even though everybody had talked about before that, oh, they're not letting my car in, that type of thing. It's going to be smaller. It wasn't. It was giant. And I liked the biggest takeaway was car diversity, but then the different styles of, whether it was the Back to the Future clock tower or it was a desert or it was any of that stuff. So
Yeah, it was pretty neat, right? Like, so it was at Universal Studios on a set, you know.
Yeah, it was the back lot.
Yeah, not Universal Studios like the theme park where there's roller coasters and shit like that around. It was
There's still people getting toured around in like little trams.
in the
which is weird.
backside, yeah. And it was kind of neat to see that because they're looking in at us and they should be on their tour and they're like, wow, what's going on out there? Why are there thousands of people out there? And again, I know I already thanked them, but I'm going to thank them one more time just because how outstanding of a job Patrick, Howie, Jeff, Josh, and Kate, and their whole entire Luft Cult crew did. You know, all the nameless the volunteers, and you know, they're doing a thankless job, and they did such a good job, you know, staging the cars and having the vision. And I'm sure it was a logistical nightmare for them to get everything done because they had to work with Universal and do all those things, and they pulled it off. And like everybody, I think the underlying theme about the event itself and how great it was how are they going to top that event?
Yep, everybody we talked to, didn't matter.
Yeah. It is going to be impossible to top that event. I'm sure, I can't speak for them. They have their hands full because that was, bar none, probably the coolest like static display of cars I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and it wasn't just your run-of-the-mill like lineup of cars. Like they would put cars in alleys and in like different ways where you would just walk and now you just walked up on something and what is this? And you look at it and then you'd see something else around a corner and then it was that's why that was cool. Yeah,
and there was like cars and staged in front of marquees and it would say like Luft Cult with the year, and you know, like then there was like a 917 under that, and like on the sidewalk, and like it was just like art. You know, like it really was,
or anything,
you know, like it wasn't like everything had to be in the street. There was stuff up on the sidewalk. There was stuff under marquees. There was stuff like in buildings, you know, hanging out of buildings, like in between buildings, like in platforms, like in courtyards. It was just insane to see. Like, so let's just kind of run through all the cars, you know, that we kind of saw and the areas. And so, you know, when you kind of first walk in, like you come into the area, and like if you remember in Back to the Future, you know, they have a clock tower and they have a courtyard and a kind of set up like that was out there, and then they had a couple cars in the courtyard itself, or under the clock tower, essentially, where like Doc Brown's like you know the lightning's gonna strike out here, like that whole thing, that whole scene, like that was like that. There's some Porsches out there in the lawn, and then you're walking on the street, and then I think was that Porsche Classic with Ray Schaefer was set up in like a workshop like style
A
where it
full-on
said
workshop,
where it said
like-
Porsche, and they had like a 356 down to the shell like staged,
Mm-hmm.
and they were inside giving out like their classic books,
Yeah,
like
but it's a, like original. It's a, like a technical manual. It looked like a suspension one.
yeah,
It
and they were
wasn't-
giving those out
yeah.
for free, guys. I mean, that's probably like a $50-$60 book. They were just
sure.
giving away for as many as they had, and they were stamping it, like with their wax
Their
stamp.
wax stamp, which you can collect, and that was book number 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing that Porsche Classic does. And, like, we want to thank Porsche Classic for, providing that for
Yeah, that's
everybody,
cool.
I mean, we didn't get one. We didn't have time to stand in line. It was a pretty lengthy line.
Yeah,
And
it was.
It was one of those things where it's like, get in line and get one and wait it out. And, we were mingling and, shaking babies, kissing hands.
That's the way we do it.
Shaking babies, kissing hands. But in all seriousness, that they were staged up across it, so they had kind of an old timey workshop. They had like old Porsche blueprints on the wall and schematics, and it was all staged like very movie style.
Yep.
But it made you, there was tools in there,
Yeah, the
like they were
tools.
working on the car, and it was like there was little things like that just to kind of like give you an idea what that was like, and they really kind of placed you in moments and like certain where they staged certain cars. There was cars in front of like gas pumps, and there was an old 356 like in between a building that had all like the dirt that it's had basically from like back in the day. Like they found it in the barn, they never even cleaned it, they brought it out,
Original dirt.
yeah, and it was just insane to see that, right? And then a couple other, there was race cars, and we saw Jerry's one of like 8 935 that was restored.
The orange one that looks like the Jägermeister orange.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then there was just a ton of stuff. What did some of the stuff that stuck out in your mind as car related wise?
Like we talked about before, the Hellgrune Carrera RS 2.7. I don't think I've seen one in Hellgrune ever, so that was
That's
new
pretty
for
cool. Yeah.
me. The comic book 935, the one that Race Services had for their launch. I mean, seeing pictures of that, I was like, I don't know what to think about it, but seeing it in person, it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, that was a good looking car, right?
We got to see Singer had a couple cars, and seeing that their number 2 car, their G-Body, because you don't see too many G-Body Singers because there weren't that many. There were only 2.
Yeah. So let's elaborate on that a little bit just so people don't know. So a little bit of trivia for you guys. Their first 2 cars were actually G-Body cars. We found that out when we went on the tour, and we didn't know that either. So, every car after that was a 964, but car number 2 was actually on display there, and a lot of people probably didn't even know that walking by that car.
No.
But, yeah, that was car number 2 up there, the cream-colored Singer.
Yep.
It had a little bit of, like, black on the back
rubber
ducktail, So, unless if you really are a detail-oriented guy, you probably could have seen that it was different in certain touches and little touches here and there than the other cars. And that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, it was.
We were fortunate enough to see it a few days prior to that, but, they told us it was going to be there, and we saw it at the shop, and then we saw it there, and it was special.
The shop had its little protection on it, and it was like yellow plastic wrap around the nose and the tail and stuff. But yeah.
So what else? What do you think?
Let's see. It's always good seeing a 917.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a good day. Getting up and close to Rod Emery's new creation.
Yeah. The 356
Yeah.
twin turbo car.
That was cool to see that. I mean, that's a lot of car. A lot of turbos.
Yeah, it was a hell of a build. A lot of craftsmanship there. Congratulations to Rod and his team for pulling that off. I know they were struggling to try to get that done, and they were able to get that accomplished. They revealed the car Friday evening at that Peterson Museum.
Yeah, it did.
So that was rather entertaining. Yeah, so there was a lot of great cars there. I don't want to like dilute it by saying, oh yeah, that was just great. But the venue itself, it was outstanding. The cars itself were as the Ingrams always like to say, the stars of the show. The cars really are. And but this time they tied in the background, which was pretty cool too. And like they always do at Luft, but they really outdone themselves this last time. Like they really have. And there was a display inside that one warehouse as well when we walked in there, and they had a couple 993 RSs in there, and a couple speedsters in there as well. I think there was a 550 Spider on display like in there as well. And I mean, like literally everything you can think of from the inception of Porsche to nearly what? I mean, I don't think they had anything super new.
No.
I guess to the 993, the end
Yeah,
of the
the
993,
993 would've been
right?
it, yeah.
Like, so, I mean, that was the newest one there. But as far as that goes, I mean, there was like 993 roof turbo R's there.
Yep.
You know,
Bunch
there
of
was
roof
all
cars.
types of stuff there. You know, like a lot of 935 race cars there. So I mean, it was like a vintage guy's heaven essentially.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, I mean, you couldn't take a bad picture if you tried. That's how they laid it out, really.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you guys haven't checked it out yet, you know, on our stories, I think, you know, you can still maybe view it. Can they view any of that stuff still?
It's
or
only
no?
up for 24 hours.
Okay, so
after we do those
are the
stories.
live or whatever, that's all gone?
I'll share them again. I'll try to put them up on the highlights.
Okay, because we actually have video of it, and I think again, a part of that, some of that video is going to be on Monday in the vlog where Aaron walked around, and you know, it's just basically, you know, we're not narrating, we're just kind of
Yep.
recording, you know.
The vlog video is a little different.
Yeah.
There's more different. There's different things, different aspects.
Yeah, you'll
that I
see
do.
kind of everything. And I went live for a little bit on my own Instagram feed and showed some stuff on there too. And they had a huge 914 display, you know, and a lot of people overlook 914 a lot,
Yeah.
but it's their anniversary
There's
as
a
well.
ton. Oh, so
So-
that one. So that reminded me of the dark blue one that was slammed on those gold 5-spoke wheels.
Mm-hmm.
That probably was my favorite 914.
Yeah, it was a really good car.
It's
And,
wide body, I believe.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool cars, a lot of 914 cool cars there that I enjoyed. It's hard to say, there were so many cool cars there. Like it really, like things you just don't see.
Yeah, I mean that's the level they had. That every car that they allowed in the show, even though everybody thought, oh,
Yeah.
my car should be there, was 10 out of 10.
Mhm.
Every car. And
Yeah,
I mean,
like 74 RS, like
Yeah.
RSRs there. It's
Mhm.
just everything you can think of, like stuff you just don't see, like a 1 of 8, 1 of 5 car. Like the Primo with the Primo.
mhm,
you
for
know.
sure. And that's, I mean, so anybody that complained about not getting in the show, then you have to really reflect on yourself and go, well,
Yeah, I mean, let's touch on that a little bit. You know, I think that, you know, a lot of people make a knee-jerk reaction.
mhm,
And you got to think about the level of interest for a show like this, right? So I know I'm sounding kind of political for a minute. You know, maybe some of our guys it listen to us and are like, oh man, you're just you know, you're siding with them or you're siding with whoever. I'm not siding with anybody. I'm just trying to make a even ground point here where some people are like, well, that's bullshit. My car didn't get in. My car was better than that car. My car should have been in. You know, you have to look at it like the crew that was like sorting through 400 cars. You know, like there was 400 cars there.
there had
Like
to be
the
thousands of
3,000
cars
cars
they
that
had to
got
go
submitted and the time frame that they, you know, had to do it in. I mean, look, they announced it and a month later the show was happening. So it's like they had to sort through like thousands of cars.
And then car placement, like
Yeah.
the car placement of the lots that they had. They
Yeah.
still had to do all that with vendors and
Yeah. And to be fair, you know, to side with probably people that are saying the naysayers that, you know, they did announce it like late as far as when they were going to have the show, and as they didn't give that much time frame. So they kind of took on a lot of additional work in a short time frame on themselves as far as trying to vet cars out. But to be fair, I'm sure the list was lengthy and they did a really good job with what was presented to them, you know, and I know it was a tall task for them and they did a very, very good job. And it's one of those things where, I mean, you know, we can give them a hard time and, you know, we've talked off camera and off, you know, listening our recording devices with other, you know, people and have talked to them about stuff and said like, you know, we didn't disagree with some of that stuff. But you know, after more time, I've had things that, you know, time to think it, let it digest. And, you know, I just thought about the momentous task that they had at hand. And, what a challenge they must have had. I couldn't even imagine, like,
one just getting the universal backlot.
Yeah.
That has to be one thing that they would have to go after.
I mean, just
then getting the go ahead.
Yeah, just the thought of that, what they had to go through, like not just that, but with all the cars and the vetting and the staging of everything and the coordination of everything, and even our media passes and all that kind of stuff with the people they had to coordinate with. It gives me a migraine trying to think about what they had to go through to do that.
And the buses and stuff in the parking lot.
Yeah.
More to add on to getting all those people
I do
shoveled
not
from
want
parking garage
their
to
job.
event.
Yeah, I don't want that job.
back.
Like whatever they, like Patrick, all those guys, I don't want that job. Like they did
It's too much
that.
stress.
Yeah, it's unbelievable amount of work that they had to put in to get that done in such a short time frame too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, you think about it too. The time frame might have been real short because of getting that approval to use the universal backlot. And once they got the green light, then they're like, ugh,
yeah,
let's go.
yeah. And I know there's a lot of people that will go unnamed that feel a little uneasy about how things kind of went down as far as like, maybe their car's not getting in, like you mentioned. That's why I kind of wanted to highlight that a little bit. And then, or, the way that any type of, media responses may be going on and stuff like that. And that's neither here nor there. That's not our ballpark, so we're not playing in that arena. So that we don't really have an opinion about that as far as that goes. That's between those parties that have those issues, and we'll let them just kind of sort those things out. But overall, back to the show portion of it, that the day of, it's like, it's like the show must go on type of deal. But like at the end of the day, I think they did the best they could with what they had provided to them, and the staff that they had provided to them, or even the third party. I know they had to hire additional, like, obviously they can't do all that by themselves. That team,
handful of people for sure.
So they had to hire, maybe a third party company to kind of come in and help facilitate some of that, and I think, as always, I think when there's kind of a response to that, like this level of response, as far as like everybody's interest level is super high. I think barring over hiring and hiring too many people where people are standing around looking at each other, you're always going to be a little underprepared, right? Like as far as to take on that wave.
You can only estimate the scale.
Yeah, because essentially you're drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it still was an exceptional event. That's what I think. From the hype and the expectation that we had, like, I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know how many cars we're going to see.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that I'm saying it's not at all. It is 100%. It was everything and more that they said it was going to be. Like, it was way more, right? And
the space for people too. That was something new this year that we talked with a lot of people, that there was space to move around, see the cars, and sit, chill, and enjoy yourselves. So.
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about that with some friends and some inner circles. This time, I think even since Luft 1, it was always about the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. The cars are there, but at the same time, for people to socialize and build relationships there. Yeah, and for people to connect, right, that are there. And we certainly connected with tons of people at that event.
So many.
That listened to the show. And had this event didn't exist, we wouldn't have been able to do those things. So
sure.
The ethos and the thought process behind Luft Cult, what Patrick, I think, essentially wanted to always have, was bringing people together, right, for the purpose of, like, that air cool type of stuff. And I think he hit a home run with that. So I think if you peel back the onion a little bit more and you look at what the goal was, they exceeded the goal.
Yep.
Right,
is to bring people in and then preserve history and continue the passion for the younger generation.
And then we saw a lot of young people there, which was great. Like seeing the cars, and I think that's you're helping that bridge that gap between generations of, like, showing people all that stuff. How Porsche's already strong, but it can get stronger. Everything can get stronger. And I think it was one of those things that we got to see it in person. It was like actually like living, like dynamic, where you could actually see it, where people were like, the synergy was there. People are sitting at tables talking to each other. People are sitting like on the grassy knoll talking to each other. We're meeting people. People are walking by us, taking pictures with us that we, had never met before. And, the togetherness of this event that's what it was. And the guys who couldn't make it, that were all over the world, and even in the US, I know it was a challenge because you had to be kind of ready to buy a ticket when they went on sale.
Yeah, those went fast.
With that being said, though, don't be that guy who waits to the last minute. Is what I'm saying. Like, if you would have bought them when they went on sale, or you wanted to come to the event, like, you could have done it. We had a friend of ours who was on a plane on their way to England and didn't have access or couldn't purchase the ticket right when it went off. But when he landed, he bought a ticket. He still got in.
Yeah.
So if he was flying, internationally on a plane where he had limited access, and he was still able to get a ticket, and you have full internet access at almost at all times, there's no excuses, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To it, at that point, it's just apathy. You're just like, okay, well, be an action guy. Like, if you want to freaking do something, go do it.
Yep.
Don't sit there and be like, well, we'll see what's going on. Maybe I'll wait like a couple weeks and go.
It'll just cost you in the end.
Yeah, you just go or you don't go. Like, that's what it is, and like, and for them, it wasn't up to them anyways. I talked to Jeff Schwartz about that. The limited number of people, that was up to Universal. That wasn't, so to clear the air where they're like, oh, I can't believe it sold out. I can't believe they would let more people in. That wasn't on them. They probably would have let tons more people in because they know how interested everyone is.
Yeah, there was definitely a wide response from the year before when everybody got to park and then enjoy that experience.
Yeah. And from a liability standpoint, anybody out there who does any type of like mitigation or insurance or any of that,
there's still fire safety.
Like, you have to look at, start thinking about the big picture. I know it sounds like you're talking about adulting things, but you really do, because from a liability standpoint, they can't just let people in, even though the Universal's like, well, this is the cutoff. I mean, when they say that's what the cutoff is, that's the cutoff, because it's their venue. And, you gotta respect that. So at the end of the day, I'm sure they would have liked to have let, whoever wanted to come in, another 1,000, another 2,000 people, if that's what they would have sold out, but Universal was the one who put the kibosh on it, was like, look, here's the deal. This is the scale of your event. This is, they know their land area. This is the square mileage of this area. This is how many people can be here safely.
Yep.
So,
for sure.
But what I will say, which was nice about the event, with that being said, it was nice to be able to walk around and not be bumping into everybody or be huddled around something, because the land mass of this thing was huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, where everything was at. Like, you went from like the Back to the Future set all the way up to like a off-road, like Mexico, like Mexico, like New Mexico area, dusty desert area. Like, just like you would think a movie set would be, like different like sections of the world and the country, like with buildings that like are built in that area, and they stage cars around that. Like in the Mexico area, they had their rally cars and they had the safari cars, and all of those cars were there. A couple of Lee Keen's cars were up there, which was cool. And so they really did a good job with the environment that they had. They picked cars for that certain environment. So, I mean, I can't elaborate anymore of how great of a job they did. And, you'll get to see the video, and I really feel for the folks that wanted to go that couldn't go, because you really did miss out on something really special.
Yeah,
because
they'll never. I don't think they'll ever put it on Universal again. They're gonna have to do something different. So that's the cool part about this show, is they really make an effort to make it different enough every year where it makes sense for you to come enjoy it.
Yeah, right. Because and they've been open about it. It's not like a secret. It's a moving location show, right? So they won't have it again there. So if you really thought that was really cool, and you get to see a lot of photos, and you're like, wow, man, I really want to see that, you probably won't see that again, because they're not going to come back to that.
Yeah, they want to do so. They want to continue to evolve.
They want to give different scenery. Like, Jeff is a big arts guy. Like, obviously his career, being, directing commercials and taking photography and doing all these things. I mean, while I was actually talking to Jeff Schwartz in the media room, he was snapping photos of a vehicle that was staged right outside the media room. So that was kind of funny, because I was he even admitted to me, openly said, he's like, I am so busy on this day that I don't even get to take pictures that I want to take of the cars. He goes, so what I have to do is go through everyone's Instagram feeds and look at their pictures that they took while they were walking around.
Man.
That's how busy Jeff is. And he's freaking Jeff Short.
Yeah.
So think about that for a minute. And like, I talked to him about it too, and he's like, he rode the bicycle around just so, because on the set, like, it's so huge, the landmass. He was riding a bike around on a radio to make sure everything was going around. And he was telling me he like spent like 8 hours on the bicycle just riding around.
Wow.
Like just to make sure everything, but because he could travel on the set quicker.
Yeah.
And he goes, as bad as it sounds, he goes, I can travel faster than that on a golf cart because it's quicker, it's sleeker. A golf cart takes up more space. He can duck in and out. And, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, I mean, depending on, Jeff's a very busy guy. He gets pulled in 20 directions because everybody and their mother wants to tell Jeff a story or talk to Jeff. And Jeff appreciates those things and he loves that and he's a Porsche enthusiast. But at the same time, when he's there to do a job, it's really impeding him from doing what he needs to do, right? Mm-hmm. And goes for a lot of people, right, that are in the industry that are there trying to do things. So, you know, I can imagine the challenge he must have had to face. You know, it's difficult, and that's just putting it very lightly for him to like navigate the whole area to make sure everything's going smoothly.
Yep, I mean, it was large venue.
Mm-hmm. You know, and we got to spend some time at Rod Emery and Amy Emery, and we're looking forward to having Rod on the show as well. And I know we've been saying that before, but Rod's a super busy guy.
Yeah, I'd say so.
His family's pretty busy, and you know, we're going to link up eventually. I think maybe our sweet spot with Rod will be probably DRT next year. Yeah. When he comes to DRT and he's there, and we'll maybe be able to have him over at the pre-party over at the house or something and have him on the show, or maybe we'll go to him, or maybe we'll go to Al's place or something like that and be able to do that for you guys, because I know you guys want to hear from Rod, because Rod has a ton of cool stories, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, always does. But yeah, you know, a lot of this, you know, important players were at this event, as always. You know, John Oates was there showing his car off. Seinfeld was there with his little crew, like Spike Ferriston and Zuckerman, and, you know, they were all together.
Sam Biglio, whatever, the guy that buys Seinfeld's cars.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, our good buddy Nick Hunsinger, he was there from Hunsinger Design, and, you know, what a great guy. And, you know, the Tori from, I guess he's part of that the Porsche 111, you know, their crew. He's part of that crew. It was great to see him. He was there at that event, you know, 911 cool. Shout out to Rudy was there.
Yeah, Rudy was cool.
You know, gave us an open invite, let him know that we're, you know, what he wants to do, and like he wants to have us over in Houston, and I think we're going to collaborate with 911 cool, like Drew. And Rudy was talking about having, like, you know, a Porsche party at his place, you know, anytime we want to do, like, not something it's scheduled, but we tell him, he's going to plan it, and we'll come and do a podcast. Drew will videotape, Rudy will be on the show, Drew will be on the show, and be kind of like a collab weekend, and we'll fly in and fly out, drive some of his cars around while we're there and have some fun and do all that. So that's probably coming at some point. Not, you know, TBD on that.
Yeah, sure.
But definitely, you know, that wouldn't have happened if we weren't there. I mean, we've met Rudy before, but like that offer was thrown out, and we're not those kind of guys who are like, oh no, we won't. If you offer it, we're going to take it. Yep. So full disclaimer out there. You want me to drive your car? I'm going to drive your car. So definitely going to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, you get into that, and it's such a great thing, you know, and it was great. Like, it was such a great event, and just meeting all of those folks, and I don't know what else to say about that portion of it. But yeah, it was, you know, you get into that stuff, and
yeah, we're continually humbled. It seemed like every step we took, we'd always find somebody, or somebody wanted to see us or shake our hands or talk to us and stuff like that. And we weren't prepared for that going into this event at all. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then one more thank you I forgot to write down. Let me.
Was it Verone?
Yeah, Verone. Yeah, it was good to meet. He's a character, isn't he?
That guy.
We love Verone.
Yeah.
Verone's hilarious.
No matter what he does, because nobody knows.
What do you do, Verone? Okay. So Porsche Skirb says his name's Alberto. So Alberto, thank you for meeting us at the Peterson. It was a great time to meet you. You know, I had a great conversation with him. That was pretty awesome. You know, he's a good guy, and everything was like that. So I also want to thank Kevin. He made us It's a Driver Bro stickers.
Oh, that was him. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, Kevin Kevin's a great guy, great listener, and great Porsche enthusiast. He's in Houston.
Oh.
So he offered that as well. When I told him we were probably going to come with Rudy, he's like, well, you can drive my 964 turbo, whichever one you want to drive when you're here
cool.
too. And we're so humbled by that because, you know, we know those are your precious things. And thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you for taking the time to spend with us. And it was nice to meet your girlfriend as well. What a great guy. He made us that gift, and we're so humble, and thank you, and all the gifts that everyone has given us, and, you know, that kind of stuff. We never expected anything like that. And it was, you know, it was just great to see something like that and such a actual, like, you know, I mean, I don't want to get like choked up or anything, but like a true, you know, human spirit at hand. You know, it's like, you know, I want to give you guys something, you know, and I don't want to expect anything in return. I just want to give you this. I had these made and I thought it was cool. And, you know, I gave it to some of the Tampa guys and they loved it too. So Kevin, great job with that. And more to come. More to come with that. You know, I think I told you in person, we are going to make our own sticker. It says, like, you know, not all that, you know, but it's just going to say driver bro on it. And it's going to have P-Car guy on it with his mullet. And he's going to be like pointing almost kind of like Uncle Sam is, like, I want you, but it's going to be P-Car guy talking, and it's going to say driver bro on it. So we have Andrew designing that as we speak, and it's going to come out. It's going to be pretty cool, and it'll be on the website for everybody to go put one on their car. You know, I think it's going to be pretty badass, actually. Cool little sticker. It's going to, you know, it's not going to be a huge sticker. It's going to be kind of a small font, but it's going to look cool. You know, something you could put on your car where it's going to be like, look, I drive my shit, man.
Yep.
So for all the driver bros out there, that's what it is. But I want to thank him. He spent a lot of time with us. What a great guy. And it was great to meet him, you know, and like I said, like all the people that I did thank, and, you know, maybe that, you know, I forgot their names, or, you know, not, you know, forgot you, you're in my memory, but I just didn't remember your name offhand. You know, we want to thank you, and thank you for your support, and thank you for listening to the show. And, you know, this trip, I mean, Aaron and I were talking about it in the car while we were driving, you know, from location to location, and we spent a lot of time driving.
Yes. A lot of Cayenne time.
Yeah.
A lot of Cayenne
Yeah,
time.
we were in the Cayenne a lot. So, you know, those of you who live in California know this, but I mean, like, those of you who don't, you know, you really hear the stories. And we've been to California before, but, you know, when you got to go to Corona and you're staying in Venice, you know, for, you know, you got an hour and something change, you know, between here, and then you got to be out in Singer and out in the Burbank area, and then you got to do this. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's like we spent a lot of time in the car.
No, it doesn't, like, when you look at mileage, you're like, oh, it's not that far away. And then you're like,
yeah, it's just a time thing, right?
Just trying to keep.
It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like we were staying 12 miles away from the Peterson. I'll let that digest for a minute. We're staying 12 miles away from the Peterson. It's not that far away. Wherever city you may live in, whatever place you may live in, maybe you can relate to it. Maybe the traffic's better. Maybe the traffic's worse. But it took us almost an hour to get there. And it's like, come on. You know, and obviously there's time constraints. You know, okay, you're in rush hour time and you had to be there at 6. Of course, it's going to take a long time, all that stuff. We get all that. But I guess what I'm getting at is just that there was unfortunately or fortunately, there was a lot of hours burnt in the car, you know, like traveling to these locations. But, you know, we had to make the effort to do it for you guys. Like, we did all that stuff for you guys to get you the content, to meet all these people, because we would love for all these people to be under the same roof, right? But it just reality just doesn't work that way, right?
Nope.
Like, you got a guy whose shop is in Anaheim. You got a guy whose shop is in Corona. You got a shop that's in LA. You got a shop of a guy that's in, like, Venice Beach. You got a guy that's in Manhattan Beach. And all of these places I'm telling out are very far away from each other, as far as, like, maybe not geographically far, in distance far, but like timeline far, right? Like, even the people that we are friends with that live here, and it's like, oh, I got to go to Venice tomorrow, or I got to go to Burbank tomorrow. Or it's like, they're like, oh man, like, they're like, what time are you going? Like, what time are you going to Corona? And be like, well, we got to be there like at 10. They're like, oh, bro, that's the worst. You know, just stuff like that. And you know, California is always kind of a challenge to navigate in that, right? Because you're always on the clock as far as like what you have to fight with and what you have to deal with. And we knew that going in, but you know, needless to say, I don't want to say that we're happy to leave, because we do love California. It's our kind of like our second home, essentially.
The weather's just starting to get California.
Yeah, we come to California quite, you know, a couple of times a year, or at least we try to. And you know, it was weird because, like, Aaron mentioned the weather. You know, I don't want to get into that because this isn't a weather show. But,
no.
You know, we came in, it was sunny Tampa, and when we left, it was really warm, like too warm, high 80s, and we got here, and it was like mid 60s, but like misty and cloudy, and it felt like San Francisco. Let's just put it that way. And it was that way almost all the way until yesterday morning.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, essentially, you think about it, we had that for 4 days,
So,
straight, which was so weird.
And everybody was telling us it was weird.
Yeah, it was like, oh, it's just been rainy. It's been weird. It's been, we had a weird winter. It's been rainy. It's weird. But, hopefully for California's sake, that helps them as far as like, I know they have a forest fire problem, usually when the summertime rolls around, and summertime is right around the corner. So hopefully that helps them not have any fires. Yeah, like hopefully that'll slow that down, and, that won't happen for them. But, we had a great trip, just to recap all the locations we went to. We went to Benton Performance.
Yep.
Went to Ibach Springs. I guess they're not Ibach Springs anymore, just
No,
Ibach.
it's just Ibach because
they dropped the springs.
Else,
Yeah,
they
dropped
do
the
more
springs.
than springs.
Yeah, of course, they do everything. So dropped the springs. We went to Ibach. We were at Kevin Lynch's. We met with FD Motorsports and 911 Cooled. We went to Newcomb's Ranch. We went to the Peterson for the pre-party. We went to Luft. And then, to close out, to tell you guys tomorrow, because we're doing a 2 episode. Obviously, this is Wednesday when you're listening to this. Tomorrow is going to be a mega episode.
Yeah.
We have Nicholas Hunsinger from the Hunsinger design, the world-renowned artist, super famous artist. Like the guy that paints for Porsche, McLaren, you name it. He's the guy they go to for any type of vintage art. Super cool guy. Big time race enthusiast. I would say probably one of the cooler guys that I've met out here so far. Like a grassroots kind of guy, a no nonsense kind of guy, but definitely a guy can like hang out and shoot the shit too, right?
Sure.
So Nicholas is just an awesome dude. And if you don't know who he is, definitely go to his website, hunsingerdesign.com, and you can see all his stuff on there and his prints and all that. And if you don't know, you should be a little ashamed of yourself for not knowing who he is, but there's still time for you to rectify that, knowledge that you don't have, and upping your knowledge by going on there and checking him out. And I bet you once you get on there, you'll maybe see some of his designs and see some of his stuff and say, oh, okay, that's him. And then you'll connect the dots.
Yeah,
because you've probably seen if you've been to any Porsche, really
works thing, that's him.
Yeah, any type of works event, Rennsport event, any type of like vintage Porsche stuff or anything like that, his art is all over the place. If you've been to PEC Atlanta, he has a mural that's painted like there. I mean, he is the guy. And we were so honored to have him on the show, and so thankful that he took time out of his schedule. And like we gelled like brothers, right? Like he was our kind of people. Like he really is. He's a great guy and like a great friend. Not even just a guest on our show. I'm looking forward to the friendship that we're going to have with him moving down the line. And just a great guy overall. Like and a no nonsense kind of guy in the sense of his race car thing. He loves racing, and he's a Porsche guy through and through. Like he's going to probably be in Sebring, and we're going to go meet up with him and hang out with him and. Hopefully, maybe have him on the show if he wants to come on the show again, but, at some point we'll have him on the show again, maybe if some more time passes, because he's one of those guests. He just has tons and tons of stories.
Evergreen stories.
Yeah. And, he's definitely going to be a reoccurring guest, we hope, in the future, because he just has tons and tons of stuff. He's been in Porsche for a long time and has known a lot of Porsche stuff and worked on a lot of Porsche stuff. And I mean, you can't see one thing, it's like not Porsche vintage, and he hasn't really touched it at some point, really. So, I mean, he's that popular and that important, and we're so thankful to bring you an episode to talk with him tomorrow on that. And definitely tune in, spread the word, because that is a major episode, because he has so much cool things to say, right?
Yeah, he did have a lot. There were a lot of cool things. You're like, you did what? You driven what? That type of thing. And it was really neat to get his perspective on things. And,
and the same. For the sake of time too. It's not that we cut it off, but like Nicholas has a ton of stuff, and we just kind of wanted to give you his background and tell you a little bit of his story. But that's just like part one of many.
I'm sure.
Like Nicholas will come on, and hopefully in the future when we come out to California and visit again, we were so thankful. He walked us around the studio, showed us his cars and his collection, and
he's got some sweet stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, he's our kind of people, and you guys are our kind of people. We're all the Porsche grassroots kind of guys, and you should know everybody in the community that's important, and he's important in the community, you know, like for multiple reasons, you know, not just because of his art, not just because of his racing, but just because what he gives back to the brand as a whole. He's passing on, essentially like bridging the gap between old and new with his art. You know, what if, you know, like he made it, he goes, what would that art look like if that was still being made? And he's kind of doing that, you know, with Porsche and with McLaren and all these places, like bringing forth that art, that Art Deco style that was probably lost from like back in the day, that we can see that now, and it's beautiful, right? Like it's just,
it's good stuff.
I mean, it's almost like when you see his art, it's like, it's so inspirational. You see it, especially if you get it, you get it. Like you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I just want to go to the racetrack right now. Or, oh my God, I just want to get my Porsche and drive right now. I mean, that's what his art kind of expresses. It's when you see it on the wall, you're like, I want to go for a drive. I want to go for a cruise.
It's a design that is always in motion. So that's what he goes for, and
he has such a good eye, doesn't he? Like for that kind of stuff, where he's just kind of like, okay, you know, I kind of know what I need to do with this, and then he makes it, you know, and it's just one of those like beautiful things. We're so fortunate that he was so open and accommodating, and you know, we're humbled by that, and he's such a good guy, and you know, definitely check his stuff out, and like I said, more to come with him. You know, like tomorrow is his episode. It's going to be on there, and it's going to be great. And we were just so excited when we were there. It's like you know, beforehand and offhand, almost had to like stop when we first got there because we hung out for like over an hour.
We did talk for a bit,
you know, and talking about tons of stuff going on, and just like Porsche guys, like what we're doing right now. We're having a Porsche talk, and everybody that we met with, we're having a Porsche talk, and that's what we're trying to bring forth. And then we had to like basically do a pause, be like, hey, let's go sit down, let's go set up, let's start talking, and then just to record it. And then we kind of went from there, and then spent like another hour afterwards, like after camera and recording and still talking, because we just have so much in common with him. And, you know, we're on the same wavelength, you know, and I'm so excited to you know, to build that relationship and have a friendship with him, and excited to have more friendship with him down the line, you know, lifelong friendship. And so that'll be a great episode. We're pretty proud of that episode, as far as like, you know, the quality of it. Not that any of them aren't quality, but you know, it's just really nice to sit down with a guy who's such a big name like him and be so relatable, right? And to be able to have those like candid conversations, and not somebody who's like holding back, you know, and like afraid to share. And there was none of that. So it's just a great episode. I don't have much more. Do you have anything else, Aaron?
No, I think we pretty much explained all the Luft.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Luft Occult. Such a great event, an unbelievable event. And I really don't know how you're going to top it. You really have a big challenge on your hands if you're going to attempt to try to top that event. But one more thank you to Patrick, Howie, Jeff, Josh, and Katie. Or I should say Katie. Her name's Kate. I keep calling her Katie. Sorry. I always want to just add Katie, but for all their coordination, all their help, the media passes they gave us, we're so honored to have been, you know, deemed that, and we're so thankful. And we're so thankful for all of our listeners and everybody who came up to us. We're so grateful that you guys are spreading the word, and you know, spreading us around and telling everybody those great things that we're doing for you guys. We're so humble, and we are eternally grateful. We really are. Thank you guys so much. And we'll don't forget, you know, this is a special week. We're going to release, you know, this is going to be Wednesday, and then you got your normal schedule on Thursday with a special guest. So please spread the words. Please check it out, and share it with everybody that you can. And thank you guys so much.
Yep, thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at PCARTalk.com.